Before.
Why would he even entertain such a person? Do we as Americans want our soldiers to be persecuted for following their faith? And what kind of volunteer military would we have if we persecuted for practicing their faith? I never looked at my peers in the military as below me. I looked at them as equals to me, and we all believed in America, believed in our faith, and believed in the Constitution. Ironically, after much pushback from Christian groups and many soldiers in all the services, according to USA Today, the Pentagon on 3 May 2013 issued a statement that there would be no crackdown on Christians expressing their faith. However, at the National Prayer Day on Capitol Hill, the same day, an admiral was cited as stating that the proselytization would still be prosecuted, but whispering the gospel would be tolerated. Since when we have as Americans been meek whisperers? We never have. Secondly, we are trying to remove God from our legal system and our basic laws of morality. How are we doing this? By removing the 10 Commandments from courthouses across the United States. Many organizations like the ACLU, atheists, and even religious organizations are seeking to have all 10 Commandments removed from courthouses because many believe this is a violation of separation of church and state. You would think that this might be a rightful argument, but only 1 in 5 Americans agree that the commandments should be removed from federal buildings. In November 2003, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore was ordered by a federal judge to remove the 10 Commandments in front of his courthouse. He refused. Because of his actions, he was suspended for ethics violation and removed from the bench. Where was his support during all of this? The governor of Alabama refused to back him up, even though most of the people of Alabama supported him wholly. What kind of message is this sending to our people? Not all religious people agree, though. Reverend Barry Lynn, executive director for American United for Separation of Church and State, stated, "Tremendous victory for the rule of law and respect for religious diversity." However, others, like Joseph Farah, are trying to boost the conscience of people in the United States and bring people back to God. Farah is placing billboards across America that post the 10 Commandments in bright, bright lights, so all can see, especially in cities he feels are especially sinful, like Las Vegas. Let's look at this from another perspective, though. People wanted it removed because they believed in the separation of church and state, and that it offended people of other religions. I would have to disagree. The 10 Commandments were laws established by God and given to Moses to give to the people, laws to live by. We have laws to live by in the United States that are accepted in society. We don't kill, steal, lie, or disrespect others. If we do, we pay a penalty through our legal system. Isn't this exactly what the 10 Commandments state? We have based our laws on that of the Bible because they are just laws that help govern a just and fair Christian nation. If that isn't enough, and we approach the idea of offending people of various religions, that too is incorrect. From my travels around the world, I have found that most major religions have laws like the 10 Commandments. In fact, eerily similar, that govern their faith. Muslims have the Quran, the laws of confirmation, that state they cannot steal, kill, and they must honor their mother and father, amongst other rules. The Hindus have the 10 disciplines that state they must exist in non-violence and tell the truth. The Buddhists have the precepts that state they cannot harm others and must not provide the false speech. The Sikhs have the cardinal commandments that tell them not to commit adultery or dishonor oneself. I could keep this argument going, but it would be pointless. We all have laws that govern us in this country, and the 10 Commandments are those original laws that our current laws are based on. As Zig Ziglar, a motivational speaker and profound Christian, claimed, if God wanted us to live in a permissive society, he would have given us the 10 suggestions, not the 10 Commandments. Lastly, when I was in the military, I served in Iraq twice. When I was over there, the Iraqis thought of us as a Christian nation, and some thought we were there to push our religion on them and oust Islam. That couldn't be further from the truth. When we were there to serve our country and fight for our Constitution. One deployment, I didn't do my job and was thrown into combat. It was shocking and changed my life and faith forever. I was working as a tactical convoy commander and provided security for my troops as they obtained information on the enemy from sources we had scattered all across the country. One of our sources was a Christian family living in secret outside of Baghdad. They gave us incredible information, which saved so many lives, but the enemy found out about their working with the Americans. We had a meeting set up and went out to meet the family, bringing medicine for the man's sick mother, who the neighbor kids liked to stone and hackle. I noticed the door to the house was ajar, and when we entered, we found no one. A small boy in the neighborhood came to us and pointed towards a small creek that led off the Tigris. I had a sick feeling in my gut. We walked to the creek and saw something in the water, a tattered rope attached to something. I and some of the guys grabbed it, and what happened next I will never forget. We dragged the mother, 3 children, one an infant, and the grandmother from the water. Their eyes were still locked in fear. All of them were dead. I was beside myself and I walked up to the hill to lean on a dumpster, and I got sick. I smelled something and just on a whim looked in the dumpster and saw the father and his teen son. They had been shot in the head and dumped in there like the trash that surrounded them. Later we learned that they had not been killed by a major opposition in that area, but by local neighbors who felt they were a disgrace to Islam. They were persecuted and killed for being Christians. They were interrupted during their evening meal, during prayer, and dragged out of their house by their neighbors. The mother and 3 children and grandmother were tied together and thrown into the creek, which was very deep. Their screams were ignored. The father pleaded for his family's lives, but his pleas went unheard. He had to watch his family die. His son got shot in the head and then ultimately faced his own death, to which we were told he did so in prayer. Now I tell you this story not to disturb you, but to make a point. Once we were a deeply rooted Christian nation, and now we are pulling away from God, from our core central beliefs. The more we seek to make others feel welcome, to keep bending for the minority, like atheists and Satanists, the more we lose ourselves in civil rights. You think that is extreme? Well, it's not. Our country has been taking a slow move away from our core beliefs for years, from the sexual revolution of the 1960s to the removal of the word God from any and everything lest we offend someone. Look at the persecution for children who try to pray in school. They get teased and even possibly expelled. If you try to pray over a meal in public, people glare or worse. I have had people approach me and tell me I offended them. Look at how Christians are being persecuted and now put on trial in our military. The phrase "under God" is coming out of the Pledge of Allegiance. What is next? If Christianity was the foundation that our nation was built upon, what is this saying about the state of our affairs? Our foundation is slowly crumbling, but eventually will give away, and when it does, what then? What, will we fall like Rome? Let us remember this passage from the Bible. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive them their sin, and heal their land. Let us rebuild our cracked foundation and heal our wounds. Let us not allow businesses and interest groups to slant our laws to benefit them. Let us get back to what our country was founded on, Christianity, and let not these liberal groups take away the meaning of our country and give rights to terrorists. Let us turn back to God and let our country be healed.